Hi, this is Courtney Burkeen with the Office of Undergraduate Education, and I'm here today with Dr. Denise Boots from EBS.
Hi, so my name is Dr. Boots, and I am the Associate Dean for Undergraduate Education in the School of Economic, Political, and Policy Sciences, also known as the School of EPS. And I am also a professor of Public Policy and Political Economy and the Senior Research Fellow at the Institute for Urban Policy Research here at UTD. And I am a criminologist, and I do work and research and teach on issues related to family violence, child abuse, capital punishment, mental health, and things like that. So all revolving around violent crime and victim advocacy.
Great. Thank you so much for providing us some content for our Proud and Positive campaign. So, the first question is, how has being first generation influenced or impacted you when you were in school and now in your work?
It's had an enormous impact on me. So I was the first kid in my family to go to college. I come from a working class background. My folks are from New England, and so very blue collar. I was born in New England and then moved all over the country. And so college was something we talked about when I was a kiddo, and I loved school, but I had no one in my family that could help me. Nobody could warn me like what to do right or what to look out for as I headed into college. And so I remember feeling pretty overwhelmed as I started school. I had a full ride scholarship and I had graduated from high school in Florida and then went to a small liberal arts school in Missouri. And so I didn't know anyone in the state when I moved there. And so being first gen was something that it was part of who I was. And I was very proud of the fact that like my grandfather, his dream was always to go to college. And my grandfather died my freshman year of college. And so I took him with me on that journey, is what I like to say. And I honored him and all the hard work in my family. And now, as I've become a professor and I've become an administrator in higher education, I'm hypersensitive to the fact that many of my students come from that same background. And part of the reason I wanted to be an administrator and a leader is to encourage those students that they belong here and we're glad you're here and that many of us have been in your shoes.
That's wonderful. So, what strengths do you believe you developed because of your first generation identity throughout all those life experiences?
So in a lot of ways, I think that I felt I had to work harder than people around me. I felt there were days I questioned whether I belonged in college and whether this was my path. And back when I went to undergrad, I'm getting old now, there wasn't a lot of services either for transfer students or for first generation. And so I remembered feeling very much like a social security number. Back then, we didn't have net IDs. We used our social numbers and they were plastered everywhere. And I just remember thinking, gosh, I have to work really hard. So I think my family's really strong work ethic is the thing that I brought with me into my first generation experience, and just a belief that I believed in myself that if I worked hard enough, I would succeed. And every step of the way as that happened, I believed more and more that I could continue on. And then I had great mentors that believed in me before I did. And they told me that I belonged in graduate school and I belonged getting my doctorate. And so I try to pay that forward now as a mentor myself.
That's great. So, when did you first hear the term first generation or first generation student, and what did it mean to you to start to associate yourself with that identity and that concept?
So I didn't hear that when I was an undergrad. They never talked about first generation. It was just kind of like you were a student or you were a transfer student. But I remember not feeling like I felt like everybody knew what they were doing except for me. And it was only when I started making friends that I realized I wasn't alone and that other people came from similar background to me. But it was really when I entered higher education. And it's really become a much more common term on identity, I think, as part of our identity and being recognized as identity in the past 10 years, I feel like that has become part of higher education. And honestly, it's a label I wear proudly. I want my students to know that they can go as far as they want to go if they work hard, and that there's nothing wrong with seeking services, because first generation students like me, I worked 2 to 3 jobs all the way through college, including graduate school. And so we have some challenges that other students that maybe come from more privileged backgrounds do not have. And so there's no shame in seeking resources and services. And I aim to be one of those resources in my school for my first gen students.
I'm glad you brought up identity because it does kind of create some complexities as you continue your education, but when a majority maybe of your immediate family has not. So, are there ways being first generation has impacted or influenced your interactions with family and friends? And are there strengths and positive outcomes that have come as a result of that?
So that's a great question. I'll be honest, there were times that I didn't think my family well, it's hard for people that are not on a track or have not done a track to understand why it's taking you so long. I would get a lot of questions about, like, you're still in school, like, what's taking so long? And so it wasn't a criticism, but there were times that I actually bristled because I felt that I had to defend, like, why that track takes so long. And for me, it was 12 to 13 years of college to get my doctorate. And I took a break in between, and I was a practitioner, and I had real jobs, as I like to say. And so, yes, I mean, I think that's hard sometimes for family and friends who have not walked that journey to understand. And so you have to be patient as a first gen student and know that no matter how much you explain your experience, until someone's been in your shoes, they won't completely understand it. And they may not always act supportive of it. And that sometimes is just because of their limited experience with the challenges for the track you're on. And so it's important to have people who are your cheerleaders who do understand, and family members who maybe that's not the path they took, but that they believe in you and they believe in the hard work that you're doing. So having emotional support systems and social supports that positively reinforce your success is very, very important.
Yeah, that's great. So that's a amazing segue because what tips do you have for first generation students at UT Dallas specifically, trying to move into a positive direction of seeking and resources to maximize all the opportunities they are presented with?
So you have a first generation network at UTD. So you see Courtney's face. Courtney is our fearless leader in this. And we are so fortunate to have a coordinated effort of leadership that links every single nook and cranny of our entire university together to support you. So if I have a message to our first generation students, it's please get involved. Please do not be shy. Please don't sit back and hope that something will just open up for you. It's so important for you to immerse yourself in your college experience. And that means effort on your part. It means getting to know the people at UTD, both students, staff, and faculty. And our staff and faculty have one goal, and that goal is for you to succeed. We want you to graduate. We want you to find your passion, what you want to do with your life, and you're not behind. A lot of the first gen students come in thinking they're so far behind they can't make up to get where maybe other students are. Worry about your journey and join clubs and get involved in extracurricular. Join a sorority or a fraternity. Get involved in a service organization that links you with other servant hearts, other students and faculty and staff. Go to the first generation events, attend those both in your school and at the university level, and then do the fun events that we do at UTD that enrich our students' lives. Like, it's so important. Your life is about more than just your classes. It's about your life as a student and about growing you as a human being. And so part of our goal is to create global citizens. We want you to know that there are a lot of students just like you who are struggling maybe just like you, and we care about you and we want you to make it. So get involved, reach out and take that plunge and be brave, because the rewards you will get from that will be exponential.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for your time today. I sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you for all you do, Courtney, for our students and to all of our first gen, but especially to my UP students. I just want you to know you belong here. And if I can be of help to you, just send me an email. We're so happy you're here.
Perfect.
Thank you.